Welcome to ThinkTech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech and to Hawaii. I'm Duke Oishi.
And I'm Maria Kashem.
In our show this time, we'll cover part 2 of the program we did at the Plaza Club on July 26th, Herding the Cats, Building the Film Industry in Hawaii.
We covered 2 panels, one on the business of filmmaking and the other on the art. Last week we covered the first panel. This week we'll cover the second.
The second panel was moderated by Chuck Bowler, Executive Director of the Hawaii International Film Festival, and included Gerard Elmore, Director, Brenda Ching of the Screen Actors Guild, Renee Confair, Production Supervisor, Todd Robertson of Hyperspective Studios, and Marlene Booth of the Academy for Creative Media.
I think the one thing we need to do to build the local industry is we need to allow local filmmakers to fail, to experiment, to explore. Because I always teach kids, I teach at Punahou movie making, I said that story is always key. And story is very hard to just know. And you need to practice, you need to exercise. And so filmmakers need to submit to HIF. They need to submit to the film festivals that are here. And they need to figure things out. That's how I came about. I never went to film school. I'm a business major, so I naturally want to talk numbers and how we monetize things, you know. So I did want to talk about distribution, because I think if we don't talk about distribution here locally, we're just flailing in the wind. Okay. We're just punching our fist at nothing. You know, we're talking about stuff and never getting anything done. So with that said, I did make a movie, a feature film, and we did get national distribution. It's on Hulu, Netflix, and we did it all locally. All the actors are local. Everyone that worked on it was local. We did it entirely local, you know. Yes, we didn't have a budget, so it was all begging and pleading, it's not a big masterpiece or work of art, but we told a story. I mean, it did well at HIF, but you know, to be completely honest, it was my first eye-opening experience, because you make this movie, you think it's the greatest thing in the world, and then people who do watch it say it's the worst thing they've ever seen in their entire life. Which is, if you want to be a real filmmaker, you have to have thick skin.
We do have a local talent pool. We have an incredible amount of local talent. And for actors, one of the key things that we try to do is to provide opportunities. And some of the opportunities that we have created, first of all, we have a in-house SAG-AFTRA conservatory where actors, we have teachers that come in, are invited to participate, and then we make this available to our actors. And we also just recently, this is going to be our 3rd year coming up, but we just completed our 2nd year with the ACM. We have table reads with Professor Moffat's screenwriting class, where SAG actors at the time were able to read scripts of student projects. And this, you know, this collaboration is really important, first of all, for the actor as well as for the screenwriter, because this business is content driven. And if you don't have good content, I mean, you know, as a creator, you definitely, you know, you're in trouble. So because we are so content driven, and as actors, we don't have the ability, or not the ability, excuse me, the opportunities to work that much because we are on an island. And so it affords the training, the continual training of actors through these programs. And of course, there are other classes, teachers out there that provide training for actors.
Let's compare to Louisiana. They go there because it's affordable. They don't go, I have the greatest script for Louisiana. They go, I'll give you an example for Battleship. If the cap wasn't, I believe, $8 million, they would have stayed here longer. It was a $250 million picture. They wanted to shoot here longer, but they took most of their crew from Los Angeles and finished in Louisiana on stage, because that's where it was affordable. And you do the math and you say, how could I take all these Los Angeles people to Louisiana and call that more affordable than shooting in California? It is. They come to Hawaii for the locations, and then, okay, so that's the answer. But when we're not the only tropical location in the world, how do we beat other places? And there's a large movie coming to town at the end of the year. We beat Florida, Costa Rica, and Puerto Rico. Why? Oftentimes because we're still in the U.S., so that makes a difference. And this particular producer commended the fact that Hawaii has such an infrastructure between crew and equipment, and they have a talent pool, and they know what they're doing. They've been blessed by being able to learn from other shows over the years. So, and I have to say, I know Chris Lee's in the audience. Canada came up earlier. When LA was the capital of entertainment, and they started running to Canada. Canada had a union base of 500 people, and I learned this from Chris when he was at a seminar years ago. 500 people. That expanded to 5,000 because Canada did it right.
I guess we can kind of consider ourselves independent because we're definitely not dealing with the large budgets that the Hollywood folks are bringing to the island. And so I think the way that what we could really use is more government support. Like Rand said earlier, we need some local incentives that, you know, benefit local filmmakers, local producers. We want to see more local companies popping up. I think we have a huge opportunity, especially in post-production. That's what our company kind of specializes in visual effects, to grow even a new industry that is a supplement to the film industry. But we need government support. We need community support to do that. And I think that's not just government, that's also business. A lot of times, we have a lot of talent here on the islands, and I think a lot of times these folks don't understand the business aspects of filmmaking, the business aspects of, you know, I'm going to need to distribute this film, I need to make sure that it fits a market, I need to understand all these things. So I think that if we had more programs that provided, you know, education to creative folks here, as well as government support, you know, it would be very beneficial to the local producers.
I'm always interested with these talented students that when I tell them and my fellow professors tell them that they have unique voices and important stories to tell, that there's a sense of surprise sometimes. And I feel as though they suffer from what all of us suffer from. I'm a relative newcomer to Hawaii, which is a kind of second-class citizenship. Are we important? Are we good enough? Do we really have something that we want to say? And I think that it's something that touches our students at ACM, but also very much the industry in Hawaii in general. Why are we not seeing as much press about our local filmmakers, for example? And there is some press about them, as Michelle Wee gets, for the University of Hawaii football team. We're not promoting the industry in a way that allows us to say, we're here, we're good, we can do things. I just want to give an example of one student who has just soared and can be, I think, a model for all the rest of our students, because they just need to see somebody who can do it, who can jump over the hoop. And then I think they're ready once they've taken out the rubbish to take off.
You guys need to keep asking for support. I think you need to keep promoting each other and what you do. I think HIFF is a great way to promote that. But, you know, Jason's business, Rand's business, Rick's business, that wouldn't have existed without, you know, the pump priming of 221. And, you know, I know we have a couple of legislators here in the audience. We saw the auditor's report this week that said, oh, well, you know, there were no measures built into 221, so we really don't, you know what it did. Well, we're looking at it. It did a lot. And we need to help the politicians understand that there is an industry here, just like we have a $5 billion tech industry.
The discussion by this panel demonstrated the existence of a huge talent and an abiding creativity among local filmmakers in Hawaii, and the possibility that Hawaii can make great films.
As from the first panel, it again seemed clear that we have to find a way to recognize and incentivize local filmmakers to make local films. There are so many great stories and storytellers here. If we can bring them together, we can have a magnificent industry.
To me, this is a very important industry sector for us. It's a branding. It takes the Hawaii brand all over the world, and for that reason, very important to our community, and something I think all of us need to look at and think how our government can create more incentives perhaps, and then look to our business community to find ways to participate.
I thought it was a very good presentation. I really enjoyed it. I wish you had a little more open format in terms of the questioning.
I'd like to see a lot more people, especially on the leadership level, to get on there and communicate with the film industry, like when we talked about communication.
Very informative. Now I know more about Hawaii. I barely moved here about 2 years ago.
I know for sure that we do have a large group of people that's interested in film in Hawaii, and this really gave me the comfortability to know that other people see it too, and that we actually have a team of people that's working for the same common cause, is to build a film industry in Hawaii.
I agree with a lot of things I've heard and disagree with some other ones. I'm really looking forward to getting involved with the community because I just moved here in December.
I always shout revolution or, view a revolution, but I really do think what it's going to take is a different way of thinking. We always think the same way, and sometimes you have to break everything before you can start over and think of everything in a different way.
Oh, it was an enjoyable experience. I'm really honored to have had the opportunity to talk in front of so many important people about the needs of our local industry, the local film industry specifically. Us local filmmakers a lot of times we're forgotten.
This is really important, and as I said, communication was my last word. We need to keep talking to each other. We need to have open dialogue. Discourse is so critical if, in fact, you really want to build an industry.
It was a really great gathering today of people that I think really believe in this industry and understand that there's so many facets to it. So the magic is in the people coming together to solve one big problem, and that's all of us to have the same voice.
This was really an amazing event, and I think we need to have these more often, and we need to attract the right people. We need to get some politicians here. That's what we need, because that's really what the ones that are going to help us make the biggest difference.
I thought it was really, really refreshing to see all the disparate groups come together and all want to see a better day for the film industry in Hawaii.
I think that industry in general and the state in particular needs a lot of frank talk about what's going on. I'm all about aloha and kumbaya, but at the end of the day, if we're talking about economic development.
I'm really grateful you did this, brought a lot of great people together. They had a lot of great comments, and I didn't hear anything up there that I said that's going to move the needle, and that's what I'd like to hear in from some of these panelists, actually.
Hi Jay, I'm Rosa White with DR Fortress. We are a co-location and cloud services provider. We are interested in working with the film industry because our new cloud storage services that's partnering with Nirvonics, which has some of the major film industries already using the services on the mainland. We think that the local Hawaii node will be able to provide a lot of services and assistance to the film industry.
This was a great event. This was a chance for the film industry people to really talk about their industry, talk about the things that they know and love. That's what I hope came through, is that the people talked about not just a job, but this is something they really love to do. They love to make film, tell stories, tell local stories, and that's what this is all about.
What an incredible event. What an important event, and thanks to Jay and Bill for bringing all the leaders of the film industry here today. It was an amazing event. The exchange of information is the best, and the fact that you've also recorded it so people can see it is very valuable.
I think today was a very good start, but it's only the start. We as filmmakers in Hawaii, and us of us that work around the globe like myself, see there needs to be a lot of infrastructure here. It was brought up to some degree today, but obviously we lack post facilities, we lack proper sound stages. We're out there scrambling around, working in warehouses and so forth, using locations. I think we could attract a lot more people here and grow our own industry if we had more infrastructure, and I think that's what we need to focus on.
I think the program was very interesting because, you and I have been trying to do the same thing for the tech sector. I think these guys are on the verge of setting up their own Think Film activity. I think that would be the way to go, is to come together as an industry and really self-promote and get the word out.
We're very thankful of the excellent Hawaii Venture Capital Association productions here. I think it brought together a large variety of very professional experts in areas of intellectual property, in production, in film office work, and each one had a positive vision to see how we can improve the industry.
It was inspiring to know that as an actor, a local actor here, that people are very interested in helping bolster the industry, actually create an industry, one
that's competitive.
I think that there was a lot of dialogue, but not a lot of solutions. I felt that there wasn't an opportunity to kind of connect with the panel, which I was hoping for because I had a lot of questions that weren't answered.
As an independent documentary filmmaker here in Hawaii, the hardest thing is financing. And so with my documentary, Barack Obama Made in Hawaii, which is, about Hawaiian values that shaped our president, it's been really difficult to raise funds.
I think that the music, the dance, and the storytelling in Hawaii is world class. And if the film industry would partner more with our local communities, be a huge win-win.
Excellent program, Jay. I thought that the diversity of the panelists and the different views and the apparent cooperation among all the different elements in the film industry on your panels today was excellent. I enjoyed the program.
I think there's a lot of people here today that are doing a lot of the right things. I think it's really fantastic to get them all into the same room, to get many minds thinking on the same problems.
And again, the discussion showed that there is a need for an industry trade association among local filmmakers, but that no one such organization presently exists to organize and represent them.
In any event, with what we've got going, it's time for Hawaii to come into its own, not only as one of the world's greatest shooting locations, but as a filmmaking community in its own right. And that's where we ought to be going.
Now, let's take a look at our ThinkTech calendar of events going forward.
ThinkTech's 4 to 5 p.m. Drive Time radio series on KGU 760 AM continues this week. Tune in to 760 AM Wednesdays for Tech with Jay Fidel, Thursdays for Asia in Review with David Day, and Find Out Fridays with Kayla Rosenfeld at 4 p.m. and raise your awareness on ThinkTech Radio.
On August 23rd, the Hawaii Venture Capital Association and ThinkTech will present a luncheon program called Keeping Up with the Jones Act. Is it still relevant to Hawaii's economy? A number of panelists familiar with life on the waterfront will discuss how the act affects Hawaii and what we can do to improve the way it works. Sign up for these programs on hvca.org.
And here's our co-working entrepreneurs, Rei-chung Fujihira and Tony Stanford, to keep us current on their latest adventures at the Box Jelly.
Let's start off with Accelerate Hawaii.
Startup Hawaii.
So, earlier this year, late last year, Startup Hawaii came to the island, Startup America Partnership. I went out Boulder with a couple people a couple months ago, check out the scene out there, see every region coming down, and recently, an event headed by Jason Russian for Startup Hawaii was a big success. 2 days. First day we had Steve Case come in and give a little talk. The second day we did an accelerator panel, which is something that really pertains to what we do. So I think that was
good nuts and bolts. First day was really community driven. Second day was really how we're gonna make it work. And first, a little round of applause for Jason. He did a good job.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Good job.
And yes, and pertaining to accelerators, we have some good news on the accelerator front, and I wish I could tell you.
We've been able to secure some very key players, and we're going to be moving very forward, very fast, very soon.
Very, very, very.
But also, back to Kaka'ako. Kaka'ako, everyone's talking it as a development front, but, there was a good win today. Who got a good big chunk of space?
Jasper Wong. About 1 block away from the Box Jelly, we had Jasper Wong. He got a space. It's probably, I don't know, like 8,000, 10,000
square feet warehouse.
At least.
Yeah, that's huge. It's really exciting to see. He's going to do a co-working style mixed with all things art. And it's everything from all styles across the board for art, which is really exciting to see a collaboration front on that.
So
Be able to come down and get anything done.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to having our new neighbor in town, and I think it's good for the area.
Good things coming. Good things coming.
And also coming to Kaka'ako is the new box jelly space. We're closing out the build out finally, and we're doing a new promotion for the next few weeks as we wrap this up. Basically, the way it goes is if you sign up now, we'll give you our $75 membership at the low price of
$25. That's right, $25.
So come down, see us, sign up.
Work the way you live.
Boxjelly.com.
Thank you.
And here's Dan Luke to tell us about recent events at the Manoa Innovation Center.
Startup Hawaii had a great run of Thursday and Friday this week. I saw there were so many people there, such great entrepreneur discussions. It was really coming together. It's like an event that was waiting to happen.
So obviously there's a lot of excitement about it. It was great to have on the back of the Venture Accelerator bill being passed. Steve Case is here with Startup America, going around and finding out what's happening with technology startups in Hawaii. And basically getting people to register and sign up to help create more of a cohesive community. And it was great to have the governor involved and to have some high level visibility for the folks in the kind of re-emerging, the phoenix of the innovation economy in Hawaii, which we're really starting to see this year, and I think that's really exciting. So hopefully we can keep the momentum going. We've got some other things coming up. Startup Weekend is happening again.
That's a Danielle Sherman.
Yeah, Danielle Sherman's event, and she's worked really hard on that and has some good sponsors now, and has it's a good level of visibility, I think. So it's exciting to see after the kind of the dark ages of tech here in Hawaii, after the demise of 221 and the a lot kind of exodus of engineers. We have some people flowing in, and MIC has got some really interesting companies in it now, and they're leaner companies. They're companies that are working with less capital and are bootstrapped, and I think that can be a healthy thing. So it's I think 2012 is turning into a good year.
We'll check in with you again.
Thank you very much,
Dan
Jay.
Luke.
Pleasure.
Doing
As
it for
always.
tech in Hawaii.
And here's another edition of our special 2 days feature with further satire concerning Honolulu's most controversial project, Rail.
Now we have Vladimir Molotov. We'll talk to you also about the rail. What is your position on having a rail in Honolulu?
I understand the length of which you're going to have the railway is about the length of a train. So I don't understand. You build a rail to hold one train, and maybe it goes 5 feet, and then turn around and go back. It's not very long. Now, if you want to do a rail system, you go to a place like Russia. In Russia, we have room for rail. You have to go from Moscow to Siberia to take some things away. So in that case, you have enough room to make a railway system. But this is a small island. To put a rail here is like putting a train set in your house and riding on it to get around to your living room.
You used to support the rail. What made you change?
Oh, I just learned that when you have these ideas of trying to put a railway system in this kind of a location makes no sense. So you're building for nothing. Nobody's going to ride it. Come on, to ride a rail here, why? I'd rather walk outside. It's not logical. You know, I'm an engineer. My job is to make something functional for society, to support the growth of an economy and to support the good living of people. But if you ask me to put up a bunch of concrete and steel and make a train that's not going to carry any people or do anything, one of your states is neighboring us called Alaska. They built the bridge to nowhere. This reminds me a lot of that project. Maybe somebody's making a little bit side money, like KGB kind of guys. And I don't want to be a part of that kind of thing. I left Russia to get away from that. Now you're trying to bring me back into this hoopla. It's very complex.
So are you concerned at all about the cost?
Yeah, I'm concerned about the cost, but really when we look at finance, that's not my department, okay? I am an engineer, I don't think about those things. I was concerned about power, to be honest with you. Here in Hawaii, I think you have a little bit problem with electricity or power or resources for that. But I was working on a project in California. We are working on a new rail system there, going to go from San Francisco down to Los Angeles. Now we are coming up with new revolutionary design. Whole railway will be powered by iPhones. Okay, so now you only have to have 150 people with fully charged iPhones get onto the railway. They plug in the iPhones, and then the railroad has power. This also takes another problem into consideration, which is marketing. So you want to market a railway system so that more people will use it. But if you have 145 people sitting on the railway and they don't have enough iPhones to make the rail go, then they are calling their friends on their iPhones. More minutes, you say, you make a deal with a cellular carrier for that. But then they are calling their friends to come over to sit on the rail. Then you have word of mouth marketing to get more people on the railway. Very revolutionary. Then you want to talk about funding. Now we have Cupertino, we have Apple, we cut them in because we only put proprietary Apple plugs in the train. So you can't plug in the BlackBerry, or you can't plug in Android phone, only iPhone. Then you cut in the marketing deal with Apple company, and then the Apple is paying for the railroad. These are the kind of creative ways we are looking at things on the mainland. I don't know if Hawaii is actually looking at all the ways you can take a rail project and cause resurgence in tech community here in the country.
So, what do you think of the aesthetics of having a rail in Honolulu?
You know what, when I think of the word aesthetics, makes me want to drink vodka. It's not where we put a lot of priority in Russian society. We don't think about aesthetics. We think about make things strong, make things work, make things scary.
Thank you, Vladimir, for your very insightful information and your unique ideas.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of ThinkTech. But first, we want to thank our underwriters.
Thanks to the Scheidler Family Foundation, which supports a number of educational, cultural, and charitable organizations, including ThinkTech.
Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates Miko on Maui and Helco on the Big Island are deeply committed to the communities they serve.
Galen Ho is Senior Executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company, and CEO of CBI Polymers, a tech company in Hawaii.
The High Tech Development Corporation, the state's leading technology agency, attached to the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism.
Castle & Cook, with a time-honored legacy that spans more than 160 years, creating communities and providing for the needs of our state.
Okay, Maria. That wraps up this week's edition of ThinkTech. Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on OC16 several times every week. Can't get enough of it, just like Maria does. For additional times, check out oc16.tv.
You bet, Duke! For lots more ThinkTech videos and for underwriting and sponsorship opportunities on ThinkTech on OC16, visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a sponsor or a volunteer and help us reach Hawaii.
I'm Duke Oishi. Thanks so much for joining us on ThinkTech. You can watch this show throughout the week and tune in next Sunday evening for our next important weekly episode. Aloha, everyone.
I'm Maria Kashem. Aloha, everyone.